Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving deep into ICP-MS calibration, one of the most critical procedures for ensuring accurate trace element analysis in your laboratory. Whether you're analyzing environmental samples, food products or pharmaceutical materials, proper calibration is non-negotiable. By the end of this video, you'll understand the complete calibration workflow and acceptance criteria in ICP-MS calibration. If you're new here, this channel is all about practical laboratory techniques. So hit that subscribe button and let's get started. So before we jump into the calibration procedure, let's quickly understand what we are dealing with. ICP-MS stands for Inductively Coupled Plasma Mass Spectrometry. It's a powerful analytical technique for detecting trace metals and several non-metals at ultra-low concentration, often in the parts per trillion range. So let's start with your MS calibration. Your MS calibration can be divided into three parts, that is sensitivity check, peak width check and mass axis difference. Now, before starting your mass calibration, please note that this calibration will be without gas mode on. That is without your helium gas. Helium gas is nothing but your collision gas. Now, why no gas mode is used is because with no gas mode on, we can calibrate the most fundamental state of your plasma and mass analyzer. So let's begin with sensitivity check. So for this, you need to select your masses 7, 89 and 205. 7 is lithium, 89 is yttrium, 205 is your thallium. You need to aspirate your 1 ppb tuning solution. So the acceptance criteria for this is that lithium should be greater than 25.5 megacounts per second per ppm and the RSD should be less than 10%. For yttrium, it should be greater than 85 megacounts per second per ppm and the RSD should be less than 10%. And for thallium 205, it should be greater than 51 megacounts per second per ppm and the RSD should be less than 10%. If you're not meeting these criteria, you may need to adjust your nebulizer flow or check for sample introduction issues. Using the same masses, that is 7, 89 and 205, you're going to verify your peak width. So all three elements should show peak width between 0.65 and 0.80 AMU at 10% peak height. This ensures proper mass resolution. If your peak width is too wide, then you might lose your resolution, and if it's too narrow, then you lose sensitivity. Again with the masses 7, 89 and 205, check that your mass calibration is accurate with plus or minus 0.1 AMU for each mass. This is critical for identifying the correct isotopes in your sample. Now let's come to test 4 and 5, that is doubly charged and oxide species. In this, we are checking for interferences that can compromise your data quality. Now in doubly charged species, it measures how many cerium ions are forming doubly charged species in the plasma. So we monitor the ratio of cerium 70 doubly charged to cerium 140 singly charged. And your acceptance criteria here is it should be less than 2.3%. And if you're seeing high doubly charged species, your plasma might be too hot for your sample introduction, might be too aggressive. This is important because doubly charged ions can cause spectral interferences at half their actual mass. So in test 5, that is oxide species, it is a similar concept, but we are checking for oxide formation. So in this, we measure the ratio of cerium oxide, that is mass 156, to cerium, that is mass 140. The acceptance criteria here is that it should be less than 1.38%. High oxide levels indicate either poor nebulization or excess moisture in your plasma gas. This test ensures you're atomizing your sample properly, not just vaporizing them. So let's come to test 6, that is sensitivity in helium mode. So you're going to turn on your helium gas and then select your mass 59, that is for cobalt, and aspirate the same 1 ppb tuning solution. So the acceptance criteria here is it should be greater than 20.4 megacounts per second per ppm. Now this helium mode is crucial for removing polyatomic interferences, especially in the mid-mass range between 40 to 80 AMU. If your helium mode sensitivity is low, check your helium gas purity and flow rate. Now let's come to test 7, that is stability test. In this, you have to come back to no gas mode. And this test is exactly what it sounds like. We are verifying that your instrument maintains stable signal over time. So you have to set up masses 789 and 205 and run the tuning solution for 20 minutes. So the acceptance criteria for RST, it should be less than 3.45% for all 3 masses. This test is critical because it stimulates real analytical condition. If you fail this test, look for temperature fluctuation in spray chamber, inconsistent sample uptake, contamination in your tuning solution, and argon gas pressure variation. Let's come to test 8, that is background interference test. This often overlooked test is essential for detecting contamination and instrument noise. This is done in no gas mode. You need to aspirate molecule water and monitor for mass 9. Your counts should be less than 5.75 counts per second. If you are seeing higher counts, switch to helium mode and check mass 78. It should be less than 20 counts per second. If there is contamination in your sample introduction system, there would be high background. And if there is any memory effects from the previous sample, or your spray chamber or torch is dirty, or if you're using poor quality of water to rinse. So the acceptance criteria in the calibration form is actually less than 20 counts per second for both tests, giving you a bit more flexibility, but lower is always better. If you're consistently seeing high backgrounds, it's time for a thorough cleaning. So coming to our final test 9, that is Autosampler positioning check. So our final test is mechanical, not analytical, but it's equally important. Power cycle your instrument and observe cell test. The probe should automatically move to its home position. Record this as pass or fail. Next, in the software, click the Autosampler button and manually send the probe to at least 2 different while positions. For example, while position 1208 in rack 1 and while position 3458 in rack 3. So the probe should move smoothly and accurately to each position. If it doesn't, you could be introducing samples from wrong vials. Issues here usually indicate that there's a mechanical wear in autosampler or software combination problem or bent or damaged probe. So let's quickly recap the 9 calibration tests. So for mass calibration, there is sensitivity check, peak with verification, mass axis accuracy. Then we check for doubly charged species and oxide species. Then we turn on the helium mode and check for sensitivity. Then we do stability test with no helium mode on. and then we do random background check, and the last one is Autosampler positioning. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more laboratory technique tutorials. If you have any doubt regarding this video, please do drop it in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.